All right, what is up, guys? It's your boy jayzbottomlip, aka JJ with the Fei, aka Big Dick Daddy, aka who the fuck you think you talking to. And since Mortal Kombat is dead, nobody really talks about Mortal Kombat into depth like any other games. Like I was looking at like a lot of anime fighters and how they usually break down their characters, or they have like a guide for each character. I realized that Mortal Kombat doesn't necessarily have things like that. It's sad that the game is dead and there's no longer any content made for this game. But I have decided to go ahead. This is based off of my knowledge. I went ahead and basically ranked hardest to easiest characters to learn, and that's based on the factors of ease of execution, how easy it is to execute their game plan in game, and also factor in skill gap, which would be considered like casuals or pro level. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I think as far as in hardest, I'll just go straight down the line. Why not? I think as far as in Baraka, Baraka has really easy combos, but if you want to go for like more of the optimal combos, they're kind of on the medium easy side. I would consider more of a medium side if you're using like 4 to execute some of his launching strings. But other than that, he doesn't really have anything that's really hard to combo, I guess, in a sense. He becomes a little hard when you start playing against some characters that are really good at zoning. Zoning is probably one of his weaknesses. He struggles with that. I guess that's based on his movement, and some of his strings aren't that quickest. If he does get in, you have to play off of his sweep, or sometimes just be unga bunga and jump in a sense. So I kind of would rank him at a. I'll put him at a medium, just based off of the fact that he actually has to play neutral, unlike some of the cast. So I'll put him at medium as far as an execution and how he's supposed to execute his game plan against good players, casuals or pro level. Cassie, I will put Cassie also on the medium side. I think that's due to her having a little nerf with her 111 as a shimmy string. It's no longer safe. So I think that creates another layer of mind games as far as in the good player when it comes to them being able to use 1-1 as a shimmy rather than committing to 1-1-1 just because, you think your opponent's going to get shimmied in a sense. But rather than just using 1-1 as a shimmy string and then playing off of that and using back 2 and forward 2 as well to execute with it is also a little challenging in a sense. It's not too hard, but you still have to execute her in a sense. She's a really, really, really strong character. I think she's S tier. I'll probably make a tier list based off of my knowledge of the game, but in my opinion, I think she is S tier. She is a little hard to use on a higher level skill. I seems to be like a big struggle in the NRS community that a lot of people don't have the execution to play her at a high level, maybe at a casual level, but I don't think she's really necessarily played at the highest level just because she takes a little more skills. So you know what? I kind of would put her at hard just for that simple reason, because if you do pay attention, there's not a lot, or there isn't many. It's probably like one Cassie player who's played at the highest level with this character. I think it's like maybe Samij or Sonic Fox, but you won't find many. Now, Cetrion, I think Cetrion is more on the easier side. If you're kind of new to the game and you want to get into Mortal Kombat, I recommend playing this character. She literally has everything. She's also meta as well, which means she plays the game. She also abuses the game as well. And she literally has everything that you will want in a character. Now, she might not be as cool as all the other characters, but she does have all the tools to compete with everyone, no matter what the matchup is. I'm pretty sure almost every matchup she has is 5-5. I can't really think of any bad matchups. Most people would say Scorpion, but even then, she has really good buttons to compete with Scorpion up close. So I will put her at easy. She's also really good casually and on the highest level. Like, you can literally scrub a casual player out or a person that's just kind of new to the game. You can kind of just win with a few buttons, or maybe just one button in reality. Rock wall, which is really, really strong. So I'll put her at easy as far as an execution. and her execution game plan as well, and how she's played at the highest and lowest level. D'Vorah, when it comes to combos, I think D'Vorah's combos are kind of easy, actually very easy. As far as in her game plan is a little strange because you kind of have to play off of conditioning your opponent based off of her 1-2 string, also off of her sweep and her jump in. Even though you can kind of poke out of her jump in, not a lot of people know that, but when you play at the highest level, she is a little funky or wonky, I guess you could say, being played. So you got to be mindful of how you want to play her in a sense. 1-2-1 is also a flawless blockable string, which is one of her best strings. So just knowing that, that you're going to be staggering a lot. So most of the time that you will be using standing one in most of your combos or your pressure or staggers. So you kind of want to throw your opponent off with that. So like playing off your pokes is very, very, very strong if you know how to do that. So for that reason, I would put her at medium. But as far as an execution, I would put her at easy. But she's not as easy to be played at the highest level. Maybe on a casual level, but on the highest level. So to balance it out, I'll put her at medium. Now, Erron Black, being an Erron Black main at one point, I would consider Erron Black maybe one of those like, I would consider him maybe a medium character as well. He's also very, very easy at killing scrubs. He would destroy a scrub. Like if you don't know how to block overhead low mix-ups or don't know how to fuzzy really well, you will basically get destroyed by Erron Black. He has really good mix-up games. He also has a really good 2-1-2-1-2 string, which will throw a lot of people off, which did for a very long time until he got nerfed to the fucking ground. I think he's a really, really strong character. He's also very easy to learn, but on the highest level, it takes a little skill because you have to play neutral with him, which is just for the fact that he doesn't have a lot of fast strings, and his walk speed or dash speed is kind of slow. So anytime that you're playing against like a person that's zoning like Geras or so, you kind of have to play off your 4-4 or slide, which is really bad. So you have to have patience, just like Baraka. Also, when he's in the corner, it's really hard for Erron to get out of the corner if he's playing a character that can control the corner really well, like Spawn or Kollector, or maybe Shang Tsung or Joker. These are really good characters that can control spacing really, really well. Or even Kotal Khan or Fujin. They control spacing really well. And Jade as well. I apologize. Even Noob. Like, there's plenty of characters that just make Erron Black play the game rather than how everyone else plays the game. So for that reason, I will put Erron Black at medium. Now, Frost. I think Frost is probably the most underrated character in the game. I think her combos are fairly simple, but some of her optimal combos do take a little bit of skill and execution. She's also very hard to be played at the highest level and even the casual level, to be honest with you, because not a lot of her strings allow her to punish like some fatal blows or even some strings that are negative. She doesn't have a really lot of fast strings, so she has to play off of some of her pokes. Also, she just basically plays off of being safe. Like, she'll do a lot of things into her, like, she has this move where she spins in a circle. You kind of just want to, condition your opponent with that in a sense and learn how to tech throws and learn how to be more respectful or have a good defensive plan more than an offensive plan. She really struggles on the offense side just because she doesn't have really much to keep the opponent at bay. Unless you're playing like a character that really struggles at getting up close to a character like Erron Black or any character that just doesn't have fast normals. She does take a lot of skill. She is really strong. I actually rank her at an A tier, but I will put her at hard because she's not an easy character to play. Fujin, as far as an execution, his execution is probably one of the hardest in the game. Just because there's a strict timing in a sense when it comes to skywalking. It's a little strict. It's not too bad, but it's a little strict. Also, like hit confirming off of back two can be a little tricky if you're kind of new or you don't really know the timing and you're not really a Fujin main. It becomes a little tough in some situations and scenarios, especially under pressure as well. You can mess up here and there. He's a very easy character as far as in pressure. If you learn his pressure, anyone can play him. but as far as in his execution and how to condition your opponent, it's really hard. Also, like if you don't know how to wave dash, which is very prominent to Fujin, like if you don't know how to do that, then it becomes a really hard thing to do or play with him in a sense. So I kind of would put Fujin at hard. He's not meant for everyone, nor is he for everyone. Not a lot of people play Fujin, maybe on a casual level, but in reality, he's actually really hard to play at the highest level. It's a lot to him. Like at the surface level, it kind of looks like nothing, and you kind of just play off your back 1-1, or you kind of just like shimmy your opponent into back one, which is fairly true. But also, it takes a lot of skill to do that in a sense, because it comes with conditioning your opponent. On the highest level, not a lot of people won't fall for some of the staggers or down one mind games. So you got to like mix it up in a sense, and you also have to be really good at execution. Basically, if you do drop a combo with Fujin, it's you're gonna get blown up for it if you mess up a combo, because his strings are kind of negative on with in a sense. So I do rank him at hard as far as in execution, and also as far as in learning. Geras. Geras is one of those characters that like he has like two different types of playstyles, like casually or on a non-pro level or at the highest level. You kind of can get away with a lot of stuff that casual people struggle with, which is like down poke or down forward into like gauntlet, or like basically abusing your turn, since he has a 6-frame down poke. So you can do like 4-3, 4-3-2, and then down one in a sense, and steal your turn. People who do like to anti-air a lot rather than flawless block will basically lose to Geras, just because they like the anti-air a lot, and it becomes like a second nature thing. So once you see your opponent jump, then it's like, oh, I gotta anti-air him. But you're not gonna anti-air him, because most of the time on Oki, he gets a free jump in, which means you really just gotta block. And he becomes a problem against low-level players, also even high-level players, just for that simple reason. And then most of the time, his down one, how fast it is actually really strong. His execution is not that hard. He does have some optimal combos that's a B&B that are a little tricky on timing, but if you just execute it, you'll be fine. I kind of would put Geras at easy, just because his whole game plan is easier whether you're playing on the highest level or the lowest level. The only time that playing Geras becomes a little tricky is if you don't know how to create mind games off your forward 2-string or your forward 3, or if you don't know how to anti-air or flawless block and blow up flawless block gaps. He becomes a little hard, but that comes with more of just playing the game of Mortal Kombat itself, and where I'm just assuming that everyone knows how to at least play the game itself. So with that being said, I'll put him at easy. Jacqui Briggs is one of those characters that just abuse the game. She's really strong. She literally has everything to fight any character in the game. If you can get shimmy by her, you can get whiff punished by her. She's also doing dot damage. She also has unbreakable combos, which do over 40 to 38%, which is insane, which just abuses the game. She also has leap. Leap is really good because anti-iron is kind of inconsistent in this game in a sense. So you can get away with a lot of bullshit playing that character, and you also get rewarded for playing like bullshit, basically. So her, as far as in like her combos though, her combos are a little tricky when it comes to timing, but we'll say that you know how to play this game to a certain extent, and let's say that you can do a Fujin combo. With that being said, then she's not really that hard. She becomes a little tricky if your opponent knows how to flawless block. So she becomes a little tricky on the highest level. Just because there's just different ways that you can anti her from her goop. She has a string where she goes up in the air and then she continues her pressure. If you know how to flawless block or OS flawless block, she becomes very hard to like play in a sense. But also in this game, like there's so many different ways they allow you to be disrespectful in a sense. So even though, yeah, your opponent knows how to flawless block, you still can abuse the system by jumping in, and then when they flawless block, you can still take your turn by down poking. Or if you just jump into down poke, it's still your turn necessarily, even though they did flawless block. So she's kind of on the easiest side, but then you also have to have a little bit of brain to play her, especially with some of her matchups like Jade or Cetrion, or even like Subzero, or even like Spawn, which are some of her toughest matchups. I would put her at medium when it comes to execution, and hardest to learn in a sense. Jade probably has to be one of the easiest characters, because if you know how to just play off of Dahlia Dance, and let's say that since Dahlia Dance is one of her strongest strings, if you know how to play off of that, then I wouldn't necessarily abuse it because it's really, really strong. She doesn't really have to do much other than that. Like, there's nothing really much to Jade except for her Dahlia Dance, which is safe when you enhance it. Also, if you hit your opponent on hit with it, it's still your turn. So she's a very simple character, and she has a simple play style, and she has a simple game plan, and she's just straightforward in that sense. I don't think she's hard at all. She just has so many different tools to play the game at the highest level and not take too much execution at all, and not as much skills. I think the only thing you really need to learn is playing with Jade is maybe flawless blocking, also knowing when to take your turn or challenge in certain senses. But that just comes with playing the game and understanding your opponent. So I kind of will put her at easy. Very, very, very easy character. Very easy. Jax's execution is very simple as well. There isn't much to him, but Jax kinda has to play a certain way just because he does have a lot of flawless block gaps in his strings. So he'll do a lot of staggers to, open you up in a sense. A lot of grabs as well. He'll be throwing plenty of grabs at you just for, you not knowing the timing or trying to flawless block in a sense. So if you have that mind sense, or you just already going with this game plan of knowing that he's going to do 4-3 into his overhead string, which is flawless blockable. If you're going to fall for that, or you're just not taking your turn as quickly, he will take his turn back, since he is like -5 or so after the overhead. So that's something you have to be aware of. At the casual level, I think he struggles in a sense because the meta of the game is kind of out of his favor. I think he's part of one of the most honest characters in the game, along with like Raiden, Nightwolf, Shang Tsung, I think Rambo as well, Robocop. I think some of those characters are kind of on the bare bones side. They're very straightforward. They don't really have much going for them, but they can do damage or create a problem for you if you play to their strength, which you really don't have to when you play most of the other cast. So I would consider Jax more of a medium character because he has really simple combos, but as far as on a high level, he's really tricky to play because you can't get away with a lot of stuff you think you can get away with on a casual level. On the highest level, he's very, very hard to play, and he takes a little bit of skill as well. When he does have Fatal Blow, he does become like S tier, and he literally gets to get away with a lot of things just because you're scared of his Fatal Blow, because he gets the Oki off of it, plus his hands are fully heated, so he gets a lot of different mind games just for that simple reason. And if you're a good player, you don't want to play that mind game with him at all, because he does have a 9-frame mid, which will catch your ass jumping on the hit, or if you are trying to wake up buttons after his Oki Fatal Blow setup. So I kind of put him at medium just for the simple reason that he does struggle with a lot of zoning characters, or characters that do really good at spacing. He does have a really good forward too, which has a lot of range, and it's a mid, but he still struggles with a lot of good characters that have really good spacing. Johnny, I would have to put, Johnny has really easy combos, but he's one of those characters that he's really tricky to play. Like, you cannot just pick up Johnny and think you're gonna win. You cannot play Johnny. Johnny is one of those characters that takes a lot of execution, also understanding of the game, and kind of like comes with conditioning your opponent as well. If you're really good at conditioning your opponent, wave dashing, flawless blocking, knowing how to create mind games and layers on layers on layers, he's a really, really strong character, which takes a little bit of time to learn. He's one of those characters that you just can't pick up and think you're going to be good with. He does take a little time to understand, especially with a lot of the matchups in the game as well. His forward 4, I believe. His 4-3 is actually high. He normally has a lot of highs, so you can't really get away with a lot of things just because people like to mash in this game, and it's just really tricky for him to play the game in a sense. But he's really good at characters that like to backdash a lot, or jump or just sometimes abuse their turn. He does have a really good down 4, but that comes with just understanding the game. So I kind of will put him at hard. I also think that because he has like fatal blow cancel combos, some of the links are pretty tight and they're not as easy as you think they are. So they do take a little bit of skill. Actually, it takes a lot of skill actually to do some of him. Like he has 4-3 and then to fatal blow or whatever the string is, like 4-3, 4-4 or something like that, which takes literally not a lot of skill. But all his other links like back 3 or like forward 2-1, they take a little bit of skill. So I don't recommend, if you're new to the game, to pick up Johnny. I mean, if you are going to pick up Johnny, just beware. He does take a lot of time to learn and understand, even though he may seem simple on the outer layer or shell of the character. Just beware. Joker is also on that side as well. I think Joker is also one of those characters where he has really, really simple combos, but he's also very tricky to play at the highest level. Not a lot of people can play Joker, even though sometimes it seems as if they do know how to play Joker, but he's really, really tricky to play at the highest level. He's also very, very scary. He does create a lot of mind games that you just don't want to play, but he forces you to play him just because it's Joker and he's S tier. He has a lot of different ways to just make you respect him in a sense. Just because he can catch you out of the air and still get a full-fledged combo. He has fatal blow cancel combos. If he does fatal blow and then he doesn't use it and he grabs you, he gets about 30%. It's just so many different mind games that you just don't want to play. He has really good shimmying. His combos, like I said, again, they're very, very simple. I would kind of consider him maybe medium, just for the simple reason that even though, yes, he does have all of these things that just make your opponent scared, you gotta be able to get there to that point to make your opponent scared. Some of his pressure is kind of hard to learn or use, especially since most of the casts like the zone or outspace you. Joker doesn't necessarily struggle with that, but some of his variations struggle in a sense with that, just because he kind of needs Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box is very prominent as well to Joker, just for zoning reasons. Other than that, I do recommend maybe being patient learning this character. Yeah, you'll catch most of your opponent off guard, but like on a casual level, he's pretty good. On the highest level, he's amazing. I kind of would put him at medium just for that reason. Kabal, even though a lot of people hate this character, I think Kabal takes a lot of execution skills, but in this game you also can OS a lot of the time. So like, let's say that you jumped in on your opponent. Even though, yes, you jumped in on your opponent and they got hit, you can like still hit confirm your dash into combo. It doesn't take much at all, which is probably more on the easier side. But some of the times, like going for his optimal combos, they do take a little bit of the skill. He's also really hard to play in a neutral just because he doesn't have what every other character has. Yes, he has good staggers up close, but he kind of has to play neutral unless he is jumping in on you. So it does take a little bit of skill as well to play this character, especially not being too obvious with your jumps too, because sometimes they can be like what's the word I'm looking for? Like, people will basically look for you to jump if you're jumping too consistent. So you kind of just want to be careful at jumping way too much. Also, playing basically the same way every time just because you know you can get away with it can be a little harsh too, because then your opponent will adapt to it as well, and then he'll start blowing you up for it. So I think that Kabal does take a little bit of execution skill. Not a lot of people play Kabal just for his execution skills. Plus, he's not that easy to play. Like the cast, like I said, they pretty much zone really well, and Kabal kind of struggle with zoning. So yes, you do get to jump in for free, but he's not an easy character to learn execution wise, and his gameplay execution is not that easy as well. So I'm gonna put him more at the hard side. Now Kano is more on the starter side in my opinion. If you're looking for a character that takes a little bit of skill and you kind of want to learn, and he seems kind of tricky in a sense. He does have a lot of strings that you just get away with just because it is Kano. He's really straightforward, doesn't have a lot much going for him. He does have every tool to basically fight almost the whole cast. It does take a little bit of skill just because a lot of his strings aren't that great. So he kind of in a sense has to play off of his like staggers or his pokes, which would be his normals. I think as far as in combo and execution, it doesn't take much at all to learn this character. Maybe like forward 2 into up, I think it's up down or something like that, up down circle or up down forward, which is kind of like tricky sometimes, but you'll get the hang of it. It doesn't take much at all. I think Kano's more on the easier side. Kitana, ooh man, Kitana's always been that character for me as far as an execution. I don't know why. Maybe because I like going for like super hard combos that don't make sense. But she does have a lot of execution. She takes a lot of execution, especially with her. She has like this move where she dashes at you in the air, which is like a command grab input. It's a little tricky to play. It's not easy at all. You probably will never see people play that variation besides me and maybe like another person who just does it for fun. She's really hard to play on the highest level. Her execution isn't that hard at all, but if you're going for more of the optimal BNBs, they are more on the hardest side, but she is not an easy character to play. A lot of people complain about her, but I think she's a really good character. You might have seen her on Evo 2022, if I'm not mistaken. I think Foxy played her. She's really strong, especially in some matchups where she excels and she looks amazing in, but she does take a lot of skill as well. So I'll put her more on the hard side. Kollector, I think Kollector is more of very easy combos. Very easy combos. You like the execution for it is like literally zero. He also even has like a combo, a special move that allows you to even like OS combos in the sense where he kind of like pull them out of the air, which is also like a crush and blow KB that you get or whatever the fuck. Like they can't break away from it basically, which is really strong in a sense. There isn't much to say about that character. Like that character is very simple. You can play him at a highest level. He does have some execution. BNBs do take a little bit of skill, but for the most part, they're more on the easier side. His game plan can be like takes a little bit more thought than most characters. So you can't just play him the same way you would play him on a casual level, on the highest level. So that's something that you need to be aware of as well. He's overall a really, really strong character. He's one of those characters that just go 5-5 with a lot of matchups. Most people probably won't agree, but I think he's also S tier. He's an amazing character. He has everything that you ever want in a character. He has a mid command grab. He has really good staggers. He has really good button as well. He knows how to keep his opponent at bay. He's just an overall great character. He's literally everything you want. He also has a teleport as well, so if he's ever in trouble, he can just teleport away or close, depending on how you want to play. Very, very strong. I kind of would put him at easy though. If you ever think about picking up a character, he is super easy to learn. I think you just need to learn the mechanics of the game and you'll be great, especially with him. Now, Kotal is probably the most easiest character. One of the most easy characters. Very straightforward. Doesn't have much. He's consistently doing the same string over and over. Just continuously adding pressure and buffing himself up just for his command grab for the most part. Like if you're gonna disrespect him and think you're gonna jump, you might get hit by a forward 2, and then somehow it's hitting you out of the air and you're getting comboed, which you really don't want to break away from, because by the time you can break away, you're getting hit by his crush and blow. I think that stops you from breaking away. It's really, really strong. He also has a mid command grab as well. He also has tick throws that kind of just create mind games that you really don't want to play. So you kind of just disrespect Kotal, which you don't even want to do as well. So it's just a really tough character. Plus, he's very straightforward. So if you ever want a great character who's straightforward and that can beat casual players and good players, Kotal Khan is your guy. Now, Kung Lao, he's a very, very strong character. Did get nerfed, but if you know how to play neutral and you have a really good shimmy game, you know how to open your opponent up off of mind games and shimmy in and spacing and so on and so forth, and those, etc. He's really, really strong. His execution takes a little bit of skill. Yes, it does. I think also if you're going for some of his optimal BNBs, they take a lot of skill as well. On the highest level, he is not that easy to play, not at all. He will take a lot of time to learn on the highest level, but if you're talking about like more on a casual side, he he's pretty strong just based off of some of his normals and some of his buttons. Like his forward 1 is really strong. His 1-2 is really strong as well. He just really has a lot of good mids that stop your opponent from trying to wake up, jump, or just be disrespectful in a sense, or even like micro duck. He can stop all that. And then I think his tornado is really good too, because even if they do jump, he still be able to get like a combo off of it that doesn't really make him think about how he wants to combo since you did jump. It's still very basic. He's a very, very strong character too, but not a lot of people can play him at the highest level or the casual level. So I kind of would put him at a hard. Liu Kang, he's in another one of those characters that just literally has a straightforward mind game that he's playing, that even though it's a straightforward mind game, you're still going to struggle just because of his buttons are very, very strong and safe, which create a lot of layers. He also has a command grab, and he also has a lot of good damage output, and he's just overall a great character. He is very straightforward. Most of the time you're going to be using 1, 2, 3. Not a lot of people use back 1. Back 1 is good because it does tick throw into his command grab, which I think is kind of OD as fuck. So just for that simple reason, you can create mind games off your back 1. But even though you can create mind games off your back 1, even on the casual, on the highest level, just doing that can open your opponent up. Just because they're trying to neutral duck, and his back 1 on block is kind of like, I think it's like -5, -6, which creates a lot of mind games. So even though they are ducking after back 1, you can go back into back 1 again or forward 4 and catch your opponent neutral ducking in a sense, because they weren't ready for it and they were trying to blow you up for the command grab. So you can get away with a lot of stuff with Liu Kang. He also has great anti-air. He has consistent combos that aren't that hard at all, that take literally 0 skill. So if you ever want a character that's overall really good, that doesn't struggle with the whole cast, and something for you to learn, like he does have some matchups where you literally have to take your time and actually learn, which would probably be like 3 matchups, which is like Sindel or Cetrion or Jade. Other than that, he's doing outstanding against most of the cast. He does struggle against characters that do spacing, just like Erron Black and Jax that we talked about. He does struggle in that sense. They are really bad at like taking their turn back, especially in the corner. And Liu Kang has the same problem as well. If you do know how to wave dash and also be a little more patient on defense and wait for your opponent to overcommit, he's a very strong character. Very strong character. But I'll put him at easy. Very easy character play. Mileena is also one of those mid to hard kind of characters, just because her mind game or her game plan is a little weird, because she is consistently playing like Sonya in a sense, where she's just zoning you out, and then when she does come in, she kind of wants to play off of her pokes or create mind games that you really don't want to play with, just for the simple fact that she can command grab you, which is really strong in a sense. She also gets Oki off of it. She does have a really, really, really good wave dash, or just movement itself, really strong. But she does struggle at opening up her opponent because of the fact that she doesn't have really good buttons, and most of her buttons do have gaps in between them, even though you could like maybe ball roll in some of her gaps just to make them, not have a gap in them. It's also less rewarding to play that way in a sense. Like you're not going to get a lot of playing like that, especially on the high level. You're just not. And then her kunais that she throws in a sense aren't that safe if you do neutral duck them, especially like characters like Liu Kang or anybody who has a move that's able to fly across the screen, like Jacqui or Subzero or any of those characters. She kind of struggles with. She's not an easy character to play. She does look pretty good against characters that struggle with zoning, but other than that, she's not easy to play. She's actually a very hard character to learn on a high level, and her execution game plan is really strong as well, but it's also very hard to execute again against good players. So I'm going to put her at actually I'll put her at medium, just because her combos are not hard at all. Her combos are very, very easy, very easy. I think maybe kind of like hit confirming in a sense would be kind of hard if you know how to hit confirm off of forward 1, or even just back 1. Back 1 is really strong too. But if you know how to do that, you're pretty good at that point. She's not that hard as far as an execution, but playing her character and like creating that mind game or game plan against a good player or even a casual player is kind of hard. Just based upon all the other characters that are in the game and what tools they have. Nightwolf is actually a very, very, very easy character to play. He's very straightforward. He has everything that you want in a starter character. He has really safe 1-1 string, which doesn't have any gap. He also has a command grab that goes into his 1-1, standing 2, standing 1. He also has really, really good tools that catch your opponent trying to like whiff punish you or back up. He also has really good mids. He has a really good grab loop, Oki. He's an amazing character if you ever just want to play a character who literally has everything but also struggle in a sense, just for the simple fact that he doesn't have a lot of fast normals, but he does play off of his like poke, which is really good with down 3. But most of the time he doesn't have really fast poke, like his back 1, forward 2, back 2. They're all really hard and it takes a little bit of skill to play. But if you know how to not use those strings and just maybe play off your down 3 and your 1-1 shimmy string, he's really, really strong. Straightforward character. He's everything you want. He also has like anti-zoning tools, which he has reflects a projectile back at his opponent, which is really strong. I think he's a really good character. He's not nothing special or nothing crazy, but he does teach you the game on how to play the game respectfully. So I kind of will put him at easy. Noob Saibot is insanely good. He is literally easy to play at the highest level and the lowest level, and his execution takes literally 0 skill. His damage output is insane. He literally has everything to make himself safe off of certain strings that are unsafe, or he just creates a mind game where you just don't want to play. He makes you play neutral. He makes you actually have to take your time. He has fairly easy anti-airs. Anti-airs actually very easy. Down forward does not take skill at all. Everything about this character is probably just the easiest you want. Like out of all the easiest characters, I will put him at number 1 because of his damage output and just because how consistent his anti-airs, and you can get a combo off of it, and his spacing game, and the fact that he can make himself safe and he creates so many different mind games. Amazing character. One character I do recommend as well. Raiden. As a Raiden player, I would consider myself the best Raiden player. Besides that, he is a little tricky to play just because his back 1-2 string is a little hard to use just because it's unsafe. So you have to create that mind game. And if you're not playing Thunderstorm, or Thunderwave, I apologize. If you're not playing Thunderwave and you're playing like Raiden or something, it does take a lot of skill to play. He's not an easy character. You do have to play neutral with that character. You do need to make good reads. You are going to be on the opposite side of doing damage. You're going to be doing a lot of work with that character. He does have really good 4-4 or a 4-1 string, which is really strong. His 4-4 is good too. His 4-2 is good as well. He's not an easy character to play on the highest level. I'll tell you that right now. On a casual level, he's really strong, especially when people who are trying to learn the game and learn how to flawless block. He can abuse players who trying to learn how to flawless block or don't know how to flawless block. He will literally abuse you. He has auto shimmies. He has auto spacing. He's just everything you ever want in a starter character. He's very straightforward, man. It's just, I could go on and on about this character, man. He's really easy, but he's not like nothing super crazy. But he can get the job done. He literally can get the job done. So with that being said, I would kind of put him at medium, just for the simple fact that he's not really easy to play neutral, and his game plan is not that easy as well. Especially on a high level, you have to create those layers of mind games, and that itself takes a little bit of skill too. Because if you're not creating mind games over back 1-2 as often, then by the time that you do it, your opponent will not be scared of you. So you got to learn how to play Raiden. Raiden is one of those characters that do take time to learn. It's not going to come easy or overnight. So that's something that you need to be aware of. Along with Rain as well. Rain is also a very tricky character to play. You can get away with a lot of stuff on a casual level, and you also can get away with a lot of stuff on a higher level, or at the highest level of the game. You do get away with a lot. He does have good zoning. He has really good buttons. He's really good at spacing, with punishing. He's really strong at. But it's just the damage output and how consistent you're gonna have to play throughout the game. You cannot mess up. You have to play the game solid throughout the whole entire game. And he's just super hard to play, especially against most of the cast, just because his damage output and the fact that you have to learn how to whiff punish consistently and over. So that's something that you'll have to practice. He doesn't take He doesn't take much skill, but he does take a lot of like skill at the same time, which is kind of contradicting because his combos are very straightforward, but how to open your opponent up is what's hard, and getting those combos off sometimes can be a little tricky too, especially if your opponent's strengthened. So I kind of would put Rain at actually hard. He's a very hard character to learn. Execution wise, yeah, no, but opening your opponent up and creating that game plan and everything in that nature is really tough. He's a really tough character. I think also along with Rambo does get away with a lot of bullshit, especially if you don't know how to deal with his bullshit. He can get away with a lot of it. He's also one of the worst characters in a game, so he does take a lot of skill to play, especially like maybe like creating a mind game or his game plan. It's a little tough, but you do get to play him in a sense where you can play counter zoning. He has really good counter zoning tools. As far as in combos, his combos are not hard. His combos are very easy. But as far as in playing this character, I would kind of put him at medium. Robocop. I think Robocop is one of those characters that are tough as well to play. He's has really good zoning, but even though he does have good zoning, he doesn't have really good defense. So yeah, he can zone you out, and if you're impatient, you will fucking die to that character. That character will destroy you if you are impatient and you don't know how to blow your opponent up, or if you don't know how to OS hit confirm, especially if he's dashing at you in a sense. He will abuse you. He doesn't take much skill at all. He's probably one of the most easiest characters too as well in this game. So I kind of will put him at easy. Scorpion is a very, I guess you could say, starter pack character as well. He basically teaches you everything you want to learn about the game. He does have a teleport, so if you are dealing with zoning you don't want to, he can play that way. He does have really good stagger. He has really good mind games. He has safe strings. He has really good pushback on some of his strings to create some mind games or whiff punishing in a sense. He literally has everything. He has 4-3 that can blow up little things that are kind of tough to punish, or he has back 2 that's also really hard. He also can reset neutral, which is really good as well. He's just an overall good character. He's easy to learn. He can teach you everything about the game. I recommend playing him as well. He's an easy character. Shang Tsung in a sense kind of plays similar to Scorpion without the teleport, which his shake considered is kind of like a teleport. So yeah, even though your opponent is throwing projectiles and Scorpion can teleport and blow you up for throwing projectiles, Shang Tsung is kind of like on the same sense, but he doesn't get a teleport, he gets a shake. So if you do throw projectiles crazy at him and not taking your time and creating that mind game, he will blow you up for just throwing it at him. So in that sense, he does. He also has really good zoning. He has really good spacing. He has really good shimmy games. He's also a very easy character. His strings are very easy, very, very easy. Very straightforward character as well. He does struggle on defense, also in the corner in a sense. His defense does struggle in a sense. But if you know how to be a little more patient with this character, then you'll be great. You'll be fine. I'll put him more on the easy side. Shao Khan. Now, Shao Khan has really easy execution combos, very straightforward, very easy, as like the most easiest you can think of. He's that. He is super hard to play as far as in game plan, just because he doesn't have a lot of tools that all the other characters has. So he has to play a little Unga Bunga, I'm sorry, and he has to disrespect his opponent a lot, and he has to just play however he feels in a sense, and just play like nothing matters basically, and can win in a sense. I think he's a really strong character. He's really good. He just has to play defense more often than any other character really wants to, which sucks because you do have characters that have like command grabs or overheads or safe strings and so on and so forth. But it's really rewarding to take your time when playing him because he does have a really good damage output. But if you can overlook that, he can be really strong. And most people don't want to do that. So he takes a lot of skill in a sense. So I kind of will put him at hard just for that simple reason. Everything about the character is really tough to play except for his damage output. Like execution combos really hard, but his game plan is kind of tough in a sense. It can work in some cases, especially online, but offline you're not getting away with it. Now Sheeva is one of those characters where she's really strong. Like if you allow her to play how she wants to play, you will get destroyed. She's also very easy to learn. She doesn't have anything that's really hard to learn. Maybe some of her B&B optimal B&Bs, they're a little tricky when you're doing like the charge. She has like this charge move where you can do into an overhead or launch the character or just make it safe or make it plus. She is just kind of tricky in that sense when it comes to optimal B&Bs, but doesn't take much after learning this a few times or so. She does take a lot of time to learn, so you will be losing a lot with that character just because it's really tricky to play her. But as far as an execution, she's more on the easier side. But overall, I would consider her a very hard character to play. You can zone with her. She also has really good zoning and good spacing, but she's not an easy character to play. So I'll probably put her at hard. Sindel is probably like the most yeah but no ass character in the game, where she can be very disrespectful. She's very straightforward. She's very easy. She could be played at the same level. She could be played at the highest level the same way you play her at the easiest or the casualest level. It just, her buttons are really good. She's really good. She does get rewarded for playing Unga Bunga. She does get rewarded for playing very disrespectful. She does get away with a lot of bullshit. She does have a lot of safe strings. She's just a really good overall character. She literally can do whatever she wants in a sense. She does take a little bit of skill, especially when you may not know the game, or if you're playing a character that forces you to play the game in the sense that you don't really want to, which is like not playing off your back two or not being able to open your opponent up before it too. She becomes a little hard, or she becomes a little strong for the for the person who's playing her. It's like she's very strong, but she's very hard at the same time, where she just struggles when you don't, or you just don't know how to play her, or she's just struggling being zoned out by a character that's spacing her out. She's kind of strong in that sense, or she's just very, very hard to play in a sense. She does have tools to get in or create space, but she's not one of those characters that's easy to learn. She may take a couple losses, but you'll pick her up very quickly and you'll be winning a lot with her. I kind of would put her more on the easier side as well. Scarlet is one of those tricky characters. Scarlet is all about staggering, opening her opponent up with punishing, and just thinking that you can take your turn back, or just not taking your turn back quick enough. She's really strong in that sense. She's all about spacing, all about just neutral. She's really strong in that sense. Execution when it comes to combos are not that hard. They're very easy. Her B&B combos can be a little tricky because they kind of play off of, your opponent breaking away. She does have breakaway combos that are very, hard in a sense, or it does take a little bit of skill if you aren't ready for them, or if you're just not looking for the breakaway in a sense. She is a little tricky to play at the highest level. Not a lot of people can play her. She does take a little bit of skill as well, so I kind of would put her at medium. Sonya is one of those characters that her combos are very, very easy. They're going to be the same on the casual level or the highest level. She's very straightforward as well. She is going to be zoning you for the most part, and then when she gets in, she's going to be trying to mix you with some of her strings. Even though some of her strings don't combo, she kind of ends with ring or her projectile, which can create space for her, even though it may not be real. Some characters can kind of blow her up for, like maybe Subzero or Scorpion, where even though the string is not real and it doesn't combo and I have time to actually block, I can blow her up for even committing to that block string that isn't real. But other than that, she's a very straightforward character, very easy to learn. Combos are very easy. Her game plan is very easy and easy to execute on a casual and the highest level. I would consider putting her more at the easier side. Spawn, we're just gonna go ahead and just put Spawn at easy as well. Spawn is just overall a good character, like Noob Saibot. He does great damage. He's very straightforward. He isn't that hard to play. I think you can also do optimal. You can play him optimal. Like his game plan can be optimized by playing off of his 4-4 rather than his standing 3 or 3-4. He's an amazing character. He literally has everything you ever want in a character as well. He can play however he really wants to. He also has like so many different tools that allow him to play however he feels. He's a really, really strong character. S tier character as well. If you ever want a character that's going to teach you the game and get you where you want to be quickly, I recommend playing Spawn. Spawn will get you where you want to be quickly, along with Subzero. Subzero would get you where you want quickly as well. Very straightforward character. Game plan is very simple. He just has mix that's really hard to like, fuzzy online. He has down one mind games. They're amazing. He's just an overall great character. He can punish zoners if they're throwing projectiles that are highs, which are most of the projectiles in this game anyway. You can react. It's 11 frames. He's an amazing character. Amazing character. Terminator. Terminator is one of those characters where he's really strong, but he's also really bad at the same time, just because of his walk speed and not being able to get in on his opponent and abusing mix-up games and making his opponent guess. Since he can't really do that consistently or be in his opponent's face consistently, he struggles, which means he has to play neutral and take his time getting in and making the right reads. But once you do make your right reads, you are rewarded for it. And he creates so many different mind games that you just don't want to deal with. He does have a lot of gaps in his strings, which makes him kind of hard to play because you can't get away with it on a high level, like his overhead or his low, which have gaps, or you can just kind of just blow him up and take your turn back by pressing buttons right after he does the overhead or low. So that's something that you have to think about, which means that you actually have to put some thought into your game plan, which means he's not that easy as far as in executing his game plan. So I kind of will put this character at hard, and I think he's probably one of the most harder characters to play, since you have to play neutral with this character. So yeah, I think for me, when it comes to learning this game, I think when I look at this, I think this was basically how it went for me as far as in learning the game. It didn't take me long at all to learn the easy characters. It took me kind of hard, or it took me a little while to understand the medium characters, especially Scarlet, since she just came out on beta. I really couldn't understand how to play her in a sense. It took me a while, but not too long. Hard characters, Cassie took me a while, Fujin took me a while, Frost took me a while. All those characters at the top took me a while to understand and learn, just because you cannot play them the way you would play the medium or easy characters. Their execution, their game plan is a little different, and it does take a little bit of execution skills. And if you're not good at execution, then I would not play those characters, because if just dropping the combo is very profitable. Other than that, this is my, I guess you could say, tier list when it comes to hardest to easiest to learn in Mortal Kombat 11. I appreciate you guys watching, and if you guys have any questions about anything, just let me know or DM me on Twitter. Peace.